I don't know who you are or what you want, but this is where it ends.
Oh, come on, Mechagodzilla, don't be like that. It's your old pal, Godzilla.
No, you're clearly not, because I can clearly see that scratch on your arm that has that metallic plating underneath it. So that makes me think that you're a robot.
What? You think I'm a robot?
Yes. And now that I look at it more, it looks very similar to mine.
Well, that doesn't matter. My master sent me here to destroy you, as well as the Retro Reject crew. And I'm going to see it through.
Huh, would you look at that? That actually rhymed.
Oh, yeah, I guess it did. Well, come on, let's fight.
Wait, I get it! The Godzilla that our Mechagodzilla must be fighting is a cyborg.
What? A cyborg? Yeah, Kashima, you know, a robot that looks like I know what a cyborg is, Titanosaurus. I'm just saying that Retro Reject, you really think that this Godzilla's a cyborg?
But it doesn't make any sense. Why would someone create a cyborg Godzilla and then send them here to destroy us?
It's a very good question, Nala. But I don't know. But whoever it is, they must have had knowledge of the Godzilla franchise because this exact same thing happened in the 1974 movie. But I guess you could call this one a fake Godzilla.
Yeah, I guess so. But that's probably what Anguirus was trying to warn us about.
Yeah, it's just too bad we couldn't understand him.
Well, could you blame us? He had a broken jaw. He could not speak clearly if his life depended on it.
You think you've won this battle, Retro Reject? You're mistaken if you think your Mechagodzilla is a match for mine. Chojokin Mechagodzilla, I want you to...
Huh. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah, you would think that since they're both Mechagodzillas, they would be kind of at an equal match with each other, and the battle would last much longer.
Well, I mean, since our version of Mechagodzilla is technically an improved version of his movie counterpart, I mean, I guess it sort of makes sense.
Well, it just goes to show that you can't beat our old pal Mechagodzilla. Huh. I guess whoever made that other Mechagodzilla must have been really stupid.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
What the fuck?
You guys are back in the old school. Hey guys, I'm the Retro Reject, and for those of you who are new to the channel and don't understand why I'm just filming a blank bed, or those of you who are familiar with my channel and just have not seen this style of video in a while, because I haven't done this in a while, today we're going to be doing a toy review. And look, I know I've been promising that my next video would have been the Titanosaurus Mechagodzilla adventure. It is just really taking a long time for me to actually make, and for those of you who have been around with my channel for a while, it's almost become kind of a norm now, just because my life for right now is just really hectic and busy. I mean, I'm still in college. I got a job. It's a part-time job, but it takes so much energy out of me. So, I mean, I'm really hoping to get this, the Titanosaurus Mechagodzilla adventure uploaded eventually. Without any further ado, I think we do need to go on into the toy review. And this has been, pretty much more than 10 years in the making, because I have a really long history with wanting to get these figures. And as you know from the intro of this video, it's best to put these two in a toy review together because they go really well. And those would be the Chojokin 1974 Mechagodzilla and Disguised Mechagodzilla, or Fake Godzilla, whichever you'd like to call them. So I'm going to go more so into my history with these figures because it's more so the Chojokin Mechagodzilla is really my history with this, and then just Fake Godzilla is just, it's a figure that I've been wanting for quite a while. So I think it's first the best start out with Fake Godzilla first, because the Chojokin Mechagodzilla is just a more interesting figure to go over. So we're going to put Chojokin Mechagodzilla off to the side for right now. And we're going to go a really good look to the Fake Godzilla. So for those of you who have not seen the 1974 Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, a brief history with this particular figure is that the aliens from the third planet of the black hole within that movie, they create Mechagodzilla to basically destroy and conquer Earth. But what they do first is that they cover Mechagodzilla in like this almost synthetic, lifelike skin of Godzilla to make the people of Earth confused, thinking that Godzilla is back to his destructive tendencies. But then, luckily, Anguirus shows up and does battle with this fake Godzilla, and reveals that he actually is a robot, which Anguirus scrapes off the part of the arm and reveals that there's a piece of Mechagodzilla's arm underneath him. But sadly, Anguirus is not able to win that battle because Mechagodzilla is able to break Anguirus' jaw open at the end of that battle. But then a little later in the movie, this fake Godzilla does battle with the real Godzilla, and then eventually he gets rid of all the Godzilla skin to reveal Mechagodzilla. So now with the history out of the way, we're just going to get a good look at all the detail on this Godzilla. And like, I am really safe to say that I am really impressed with like the designs of this particular like fake Godzilla / Mechagodzilla. Now, of course, there's one really big problem I kind of have with this figure, but I'm gonna get to it at the end of reviewing this figure before we move on to Chojokin Mechagodzilla. Now we're gonna go into the articulation of the figure. So first, start off, the head can go 360 degrees, which if you know Mechagodzilla, he can do that really cool head spinning trick, but with Disguised Mechagodzilla, he can't do all the powers that real Mechagodzilla can do because he is basically contained underneath this skin. So really the only thing Mechagodzilla can do underneath this skin is shoot what looks like the atomic breath, but it's just something very similar to it. And then with the arms, they can pretty much go 360 degrees. It just gets a little caught around this area, so I wouldn't do it too often. And then with the other arm, it can go pretty much 360 degrees, but it gets kind of stopped around like his thigh area, so it can go almost 360. And then with his legs, 360 degrees. And then other leg can go 360. It just, they kind of get caught around the tail area, but they can still go 360. The tail is glued, so it can't turn, but it's whatever. I mean, you don't really see Godzilla twist his tail around a lot, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, like for those who are like a really big fan of like this particular design of Godzilla, or just wanting to have a fake Godzilla / Disguised Mechagodzilla, this is a really like great figure. But the big problem I have with this is that it seems too similar to the 1975 like real Godzilla figure, because the thing is that if you watch the movie, the thing is that they use two different suits to portray fake Godzilla, because the filmmakers wanted to actually confuse the audience to make people believe that this was the real Godzilla before the robotic part is ripped off. So they use two different suits. So they use like the real Godzilla for like when this part isn't shown, and then they use a different kind of suit to portray fake Godzilla, because just to give them like a slight hint that this is not the real Godzilla. But the thing is that this particular figure really looks too similar to like the real design of Godzilla within that movie, and just the only distinct thing to tell that it's a fake Godzilla is the robotic parts underneath him. What I really wish that they did was make it look similar to an actual fake looking Godzilla. So like I'll put this one off to the side and kind of put a picture here of what I imagine the fake Godzilla looking like, but just this one looks too similar to the 1975 Godzilla design. And I know I keep saying like the 1975 design, which is Terror of Mechagodzilla, is just the same suit is used from 1973 to 1975, so I just like calling it the 1975 suit. So the thing is, just I really wish they made this figure more distinctive than distinctive looking to when you get the 1975 Godzilla design. Because if you put two of them side by side, like yes, it looks really cool if you show the metallic part, but then you might as well just get the 1975 Godzilla if you're wanting to have like this particular design of Godzilla in your collection. And because like there's really no point, because it just looks like a Godzilla figure, and just the robotic parts really tell the difference. Now, before we move on to Chojokin Mechagodzilla, we're going to actually put up to scaling of other Godzilla figures just to see how it is. So I'm going to try to position the camera down a little bit so we can actually see his legs when comparing them. Probably have to move it around a little bit just to compare. But first, we're going to bring out one of Mechagodzilla's opponents within Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and that would be King Caesar. So yeah, side by side, like I would think if you're looking at if it was just a regular Godzilla and King Caesar together, I think this is a pretty well matchup. I think Godzilla is like just slightly bigger than King Caesar, and I mean if you actually look at the movie, I'm pretty sure the real Mechagodzilla towers pretty much over King Caesar, or so. But I think if you're looking at this as like if it's Godzilla and King Caesar together, I think it's a pretty good matchup. It's just I think Godzilla is slightly bigger than King Caesar. Alright, and then we're going to bring out the actual opponent that fake Godzilla faced against. Well, almost the same one. It's just a different design of him, but Anguirus. So yeah, I think once again this is a pretty good matchup because like Anguirus, he was definitely like Anguirus is a quadruped monster, so like it's obviously he would be a lot smaller when compared to Godzilla. So I think this one's a pretty good matchup. I think he was slightly smaller with his Showa design because this one's the Final Wars Anguirus. So I think Showa Anguirus was slightly smaller, but I think this is still a pretty good matchup for if you're putting these two together. So yeah, we're gonna put Anguirus off to the side, and then just one little bonus monster I'm gonna put into here is Megalon, because the same kind of suit was used in that movie. So. Now this one I think this one's also a pretty good matchup. I think it's safe to say that Megalon, it can pretty much they were pretty much at this height with each other in the movie, so I think it's safe to say that this one's also a pretty good matchup. Alright, so just final thoughts on Disguised Mechagodzilla / Fake Godzilla. So I think this is a really great figure for if you want to have like the 1975 design of Godzilla or just a fake Mechagodzilla in your collection. It's just that if you're wanting to actually have the 1975 design of Godzilla, I would recommend actually getting that figure instead of this one, because there's not too much distinctiveness between the two to make a difference. And especially considering that I got this guy off of eBay for $150, so he is a very rare figure to get. So if you're wanting to have like a specific design of Godzilla in your collection, I would recommend going for the actual design he was based off of instead of getting a fake Godzilla. The scaling on him is really good, and then for a figure of articulation, there's not a lot, but still enough to get some pretty good movements out of him. So yeah, overall I think he's a really good figure. Just I really wish there was more distinctiveness if you wanted to get a 1975 design of Godzilla, just to have them side by side. Alright, so now we're going to put Disguised Mechagodzilla off to the side, and then we're going to bring out the main attraction, the Chojokin Mechagodzilla. And I'm already telling this is going to be a pretty long review, because we're already at almost 17 minutes. So, as for my history with this figure, as I said, this has almost been 10 years, pretty much more than 10 years in the making, because for those of you who remember the video, my Titanosaurus Mechagodzilla adventure, Titanosaur Zone, I Was There, I used a different kind of Chojokin Mechagodzilla in that video, but it was the one based off the 1975 movie, which is Terror of Mechagodzilla. And of course, I'll bring him out side by side. And as you can know, he has a really messed up face, and which is why I explain the history. I'm going to explain the history with why I've been wanting this figure for a long time. So back when I was in 4th grade or 3rd grade, I can't remember exactly when, I remember seeing these things on eBay, and they obviously cost like over $100. I think this one cost me around a little, like just basically almost a little over 100. And I was just so impressed because these things are the most articulated, like at least one of the most articulated Godzilla figures that I've seen, basically. So I remember seeing these toys, and I remember watching toy reviews of other people talking about the Chojokin Mechagodzillas, and I was like, I want to get these figures. They just look so cool. So basically, I saved up a lot of money. I think it was mainly a lot of my birthday money. And eventually I was able to get a Chojokin Mechagodzilla, which was the 1975 design. But as I was being a little kid, I accidentally left him out in a spot where my dogs could get to him, and they basically chewed up his face. So it was essentially a ruined figure. Which I think when I used him in, I used him in the Titanosaur Zone episode, just because he does look like a messed up Mechagodzilla, so it still worked for that video. I'm glad to have at least some use out of him, but it's just, it really broke my heart, because this was a really expensive figure, and now it was basically ruined. So I've waited years and years of wanting to have a chance to have another Chojokin Mechagodzilla in my collection, and now I finally got one. And it's based on the 1974 design. And the reason why I got this one instead of just replacing the 1975 design is for a feature I want to test out, and I've never done it. I haven't done it before, so I don't know what will happen. But basically, because now I have 2 versions of a Chojokin Mechagodzilla, and I'll try to get to that. I'll show you guys that feature in this video if it will work. But anyway, so before we actually look at the figure itself, we're obviously going to look at the box. So I obviously think that this box design for a Chojokin Mechagodzilla is the more impressive one compared to the 1974 design. Because, I mean, you got Mechagodzilla on the front, like three different, like almost a shadowy look to him behind, and then the figure itself. And then down here you got that really cool, like I don't know, how would you describe that? Like a mirage-looking silhouette of Mechagodzilla. And like the Japanese text down here. Obviously that one would say Mechagodzilla 1974. And then it's a really impressive looking box just compared, like it's a really impressive looking box of how much detail they put into it. Because like on the side you got obviously Chojokin like Mechagodzilla 1974, and then you got like the film, like almost these film frames of like from Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. You got Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, King Caesar, Mechagodzilla again, the title. Like, it's just, like, really iconic moments that you see from that movie. And on the back, it kind of shows all the different features that he has. Like, he has his flying mode, and then he obviously has his chest laser, and then the rotation, his, like, rotation shield. He has, like, the swappable finger missiles, as well as that you can take out his knee missiles. And then you can even, like, fully detach his head. And which I think is what happened in the movie, where, because most people mistaking that Godzilla actually just takes off the head part, but I think he takes off both the neck and the head, so that's really cool to have. Then on the side, it's got like it's just got like a profile view of Mechagodzilla again. All right. Yeah, so I think this is a really good looking box just to show on display. So, like, it's a really cool design. So now we're going to actually open this up and reveal the figure itself. And that's another thing I really like about this, because my eBay seller, like how they have it, they gave like a covering for it. So it's a really cool, fun thing to have. And the fun thing about this box is that Mechagodzilla just flopped out of there. He wanted to get out. But it just basically opens up in like a sideways fashion, so I think that's really cool. There's a bunch of Japanese text, as well as got a lot of other little features in there. And then obviously on the side you got his tail, and then the missiles, and I'll show them all in detail, but we're gonna take each one of them out. And then his swappable flying head. Alright, so we're going to put the box off to the side. Actually bring the actual body of Mechagodzilla out. Alright, put the wrapping off to the side. Alright. Yeah, so this is just Mechagodzilla himself. Now I gotta take his tail out so we can actually stand him up. Probably also gotta move the camera a little bit. I think that's the only thing I will complain about with this particular Mechagodzilla, is that the tail is more so like, instead of it being, because I remember with the 1975 Mechagodzilla, his tail, obviously it detached, like it has to detach to fit in the box that it had. I just don't have the box for him anymore, but the tail itself detaches at this end, so it can be more easily attached, but this one, like, the segment is just is taken off to be put back in the box. So yeah, that's Chojokin Mechagodzilla in all his glory. It's a really cool looking figure. Yeah, I'm just like in awe. It's a really nice silver gray metallic looking design. Now I'm gonna put him side by side with Chojokin Mechagodzilla because I have not done this before. Yeah, these two are pretty much almost the same in height. Although I think in Terror of Mechagodzilla, I think that particular design of Mechagodzilla is shorter compared to his 1974 design, because I think Mechagodzilla 2, he kind of more so slouches at like an angle. If you look at like the Bandai Mechagodzilla. Actually, let's bring him out because I have him over here. Put Chojokin off to the side. Yeah, so like if you notice, like the like original Mechagodzilla, he kind of does more of like a slouching. He kind of has more of a slouching design compared to 1974 Mechagodzilla. So, and obviously they just look like this Mechagodzilla just towers over Mechagodzilla 2 because this is a 6-inch figure, and I think this one's more 7 to 8 inches in height. We're gonna bring back 1974 Chojokin. Yeah, so other than the messed up head, they look almost similar to one another. Yeah, there are just slight difference between the two of them because basically this one was the rebuilt version of this one. So there are some slight design differences, but it's still, yeah, they're both nothing to sneeze at. Now, okay, now this is the thing I wanted to test out, and this is going to be moment of truth of the reason why I wanted to get this particular figure instead of just replacing this one. So one of the features that they have is that obviously you can detach their head. Because you can swap out the different heads for like either the flying mode. So here's the moment of truth, the thing I wanted to test out. We're going to see if this works. It works! Yes! This is the reason why I wanted to get that Mechagodzilla, because now I can just swap out the heads with each other, so now I still have a complete figure of whether which one I want to have on display. So now I can have either like Terror of Mechagodzilla out on display, or I can have Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla out on display. So that is incredible. So yeah, we're gonna put this head back on original Mechagodzilla. So now we can go into the features that they have. Alright, so yeah, we're going to bring in first a little close-up of the design, because I know I did a rotation of him farther back, but we're going to look at everything. Yeah, it's just a really cool looking Mechagodzilla design. Alright, so now in terms of rotation, this is a really articulated figure, so at the shoulder joints, they can go pretty much 360 degrees. And then there's an added joint around this area, which can go 360. At the elbows, there's two different joints, so obviously they can go like almost 45 degrees. And I think that's the only one complaint I have about this figure, is that one of the complaints I have is just like this one's really stiff. Like this particular figure is really stiff, and I don't know if that's just due to age or something else, but yeah, this one's kind of stiff. And then obviously one of the most iconic design, like one of the iconic features of Mechagodzilla is that he has the rotating finger missiles, so they can go pretty much 360 degrees. And it's the same thing with the other arm. Go 360. As well as this part. Same thing with this. Go 45. And then the fingers 360. Yeah, my camera was about to fall over. Alright, and then with the head, it can obviously go 360 degrees. Because if you want to do like his shield. But if you want to do it in a more interesting way, there's a little button back here. So you just press it. And I remember doing this in the I Was There video with the 1974 Chojokin Mechagodzilla. Basically, just whenever he was going cuckoo crazy. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, I did that. I did that with him. And then obviously, his little panel opens up. Because I've done this before in other videos where I've done it in stop motion to show that whenever I want Mechagodzilla to shoot his chest laser, I just kind of open up the panel on my Chojokin Mechagodzilla to show that he has his chest laser. Trying to get in a good light so you can see the red dot. Yep. And then around his torso, he can go 360 degrees. And then the legs, they're also kind of on that same joint as the arms, but they can't go 360 degrees, but they're still pretty good, about like almost 90 or like 180. I'm not good with geometry. Yeah, but they can go out to the side, almost like 45, I think. Yeah, that one's isn't that 90 degrees when you do that? Like, it's 90 degrees when it's like, yeah, I think that's 90 degrees, not 45. And then at the legs, they're on that hinge joint, so yeah, and just the only thing is that they do make that annoying click sound whenever you're wanting to pose them. Yeah, I think that one will, like, at the hinge joint, they only go 45. And then at the feet, they're kind of like on this nice little ball joint, so they can basically move around kind of like this if you just want to stable them on a certain platform. It's probably better to show it from in the light like this, but they're kind of on that nice ball joint, and they can go 360 degrees as well. And it's just basically kind of the same thing with the leg here. Alright, and then finally with the my camera keeps trying to fall over. Then finally with the tail, it can go almost 360 degrees. Just so they kind of get stopped around this area. And then around here, it's kind of also on a ball joint. They can't go 360 degrees just because they're being stopped by this. But they can slightly swivel around. Yep, so that's in terms of articulation for Chojokin Mechagodzilla. Now we're just going to show the other little features that can be attached. So, the first of one is to showing whenever Mechagodzilla shoots his missiles, and just to show that they've been fired, there's these his hands that kind of I'm trying to get in a good focus, but just his hands show that, like, whenever the missiles have been fired. But basically how you attach them is you just basically take his Mechagodzilla's hands, you kind of just gotta pry them off. And then you just attach them. There we go. And then same thing with the other hand. Almost got it. Alright. Yep, and there you go. You can show that whenever Mechagodzilla, if you're doing like a stop motion film, you can show that Mechagodzilla has like fired his missiles. It's my family dog. Alright. Oh, and then just one other feature that I forgot, that was shown on the back of the box, but you can show that you can actually fully take off the rotate, like the neck part of Mechagodzilla's head. Alright. Alright, and then the last little feature that can be attached to Mechagodzilla is transform him into flying mode by basically just taking off his head. Attaching it there, and then just kind of slightly turn kind of position his arms. And then just pull down the tail like that. Straighten him out a little bit. And there we go, we got him in flying mode. Yeah, so just a really nice little feature to have for him. And then the rotating part of his head still works, so like, even though he never does it in the film, you can rotate his head like that. Alright. Yep, so I'm going to stop here and then just get him back into his normal mode to do some final thoughts. So overall, I think the Chojokin Mechagodzilla is just an amazing figure to have. Really articulate. The design of him is like almost, or pretty much it is, spot on to what it looks like in the movie. Yeah, just the only little thing is that obviously you can see like the different bolts like in the screws that are attached to him to show how it's like just kind of, because it's a toy, it's basically it's made out of die-cast metal, so just to make sure to keep them all together. But it kind of does add to his flair, because I mean he is a robot, even though you do see like, of course, the smaller designs of his robotic bolts to him. He has a ton of amazing features, and if you do have the 1975 Chojokin Mechagodzilla, it's a nice kind of like it's a nice swappable figure. Just to have them both on display if you're in a situation like mine where a part of, like, either you're missing a part or like a part of that Mechagodzilla is broken. So it's kind of just a nice little swappable thing, and just kind of it's an amazing figure. All right, I don't know what else to say about it. But just the only downside is that since it is a more slightly larger figure than compared to like the 6-inch figures, so if you like put him next to his like counterpart, which is Fake Godzilla, like it's like, how do you fit this gigantic robot into that? So it's like, yeah, that's the only downside I can think to it. But overall, these two figures are like really great if you are a really big Mechagodzilla fan like I am. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this toy review. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the heck you want to do, and maybe hit that little bell icon to get notified whenever the old school is back in session. And with that being said, the old school is out!